Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where first off, tonight, awards season officially gets underway with the Golden Globes, airing on CBS starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, as I do every year, I will be live tweeting the show, but this year, we're going to do something also a little different, and that's that right after the show ends at approximately 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going live, baby, right here on YouTube. So we can talk right away. I can share my instant reaction to the big winners and losers. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. Will roast queen Nikki Glaser do Ricky Gervais proud? Is Wicked the new Barbie, or will it actually win some major awards? There are no craft awards at the Golden Globes, so I think we're all a little nervous. And then also, of course, the 2025 awards season will finally start to come into focus a little bit. There are no clear frontrunners, except maybe Nicole Kidman, and we'll talk about how Baby Girl is faring at the box office. But right now, it's a wide open playing field, so we're going to get some answers tonight. And the Golden Globes also do streaming shows, so there will be a lot to discuss. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Again, the show ends at around 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It tends to run a little late, as awards shows do, but I'll be ready, and I'll go live immediately once it wraps, and the live stream chat tonight will be open to all subscribers, since it's such a big special night. So I hope to see you first on Twitter during the show, and then right here on YouTube Live afterwards. All right, now, let's talk numbers. Sonic vs. Mufasa is a brawl that's not just not letting up, but is getting more intense, and particularly on social media. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow. It is a real slugfest. I think, the Sonic fans in particular are very, very, we're in an age of aggressive fandoms, and I think you just kind of have to sit back and people do love drama, and that's something that Hollywood has a lot of these days. But yes, I think one of the reasons that the fight is getting even more intense is that the anti-Disney crowd thought they had a slam dunk win. They were like, ha! But what's this? The mouse? The lion is rebounding? That's right, while it's still kind of neck and neck, in the third weekend for both films, Mufasa, which has won a couple of days over the past few weeks, finally officially won an actual weekend. No more community notes for you, Disney. That's when you know a fight's really getting big, when community notes gets involved. That was incredible. Look, to be fair, neither one of these movies is setting the box office on fire. But when it comes to Mufasa, they're just trying to save themselves from total embarrassment. 2019's The Lion King cleared $1 billion by a lot, 1.6. And the openings, for instance, that's just a whole lot of yikes. So at least they like to be able to say it was still a number one movie. It was the landscape. It was the holiday. It was a weird holiday season. Not that their movie was crap and that someone else beat them at their own game. Because as I've told you, Disney is used to being the top choice for casuals. Most casual moviegoers, well, at least before the pandemic, saw about one movie a month in theaters, and it was usually the Disney movie of the month. So they don't want to lose that element. Then they feel like, hey, it's the holidays, everybody should choose the Disney movie no matter what it is. And in the past, Disney has enjoyed that kind of loyalty. But I think maybe they pushed it and tested it a little bit too much by what they could get people to sit through. Mufasa has solid audience scores. But also, I think on top of that, the anti-Disney crowd used Super Mario Brothers against the mouse, but that, nothing Disney opened it actually against Super Mario Brothers. This is the first time since the emergence of the anti-Disney movement that there's been a direct contender that is opened day and date opposite a Disney film that is similar, they're on par. And Sonic has become a direct contender that is doing real damage to Mufasa for sure. So I think that excites the anti-Disney crowd. And then they're like, what the heck is happening? Mufasa's rallying. Also, I have to say another component to this is image-wise, because we're dealing with one of the coolest video game characters for kids, of all time, Shadow, arriving in live action. So neither one of these movies is actually really totally a live action film. But you have this really cool character who's a little bit of a deep cut, but, is famous for being this super cool character that you would think kids wouldn't be able to get. But it's a bold move, and to bring him in so authentically and correct to his legacy in the games. But then he's going up against one of the most uninspired, laziest cash grabs to come out of Disney ever. And that's saying something. So people are like, how can it be that from Disney would beat that from video games? And also video games are enjoying a renaissance, and I think the fandom is enjoying that as well, and they don't want to see a wrinkle in their story either. One of my favorite tweets that I saw over the holiday season was someone saying, let's pour one out for all the kids who were forced to see Mufasa over Sonic. And I thought that painted a pretty funny picture. Sonic is, I think very much seen. Well, I wonder how kids see it. But by adults who remember these things, because this is still all one giant nostalgia play on both sides. But, they think Sonic is the cool choice, right? And then a bunch of poor kids are getting dragged to see Mufasa. But on that note, for all the drama around Disney these days, as a brand, clearly, as you can see from the box office, they still have a strong hold on parents. Maybe some parents who don't have a tie to either thing or just want to get out of the house. They're like, let's go see the latest Disney movie. A safe bet at the multiplex, even if that safe bet is bland. Some of us feel it looks like torture, but apparently some people are sitting through it. And again, those audience scores aren't awful. So did you see Mufasa? It looks so bad to me. I missed it. I couldn't review it because I was traveling. But some of you were like, are you going to go back and review it? And I was like, someone said I should do a live watch along, but I don't know. I've seen some clips and I'm like, my God. So Sonic fans though, come closer, Sonic fans. Even if you don't win this fight at the box office, and it doesn't look like you're going to, the very fact that you were able to put Disney on the ropes is impressive. What's more, Sonic just made headlines because as a franchise, it's cleared $1 billion worldwide. And you're a major cornerstone on Paramount Plus with the Knuckles show and the Sonic movies. You're probably going to get a Shadow show. I wouldn't be surprised. And your fourth movie is already in development. Not to mention Jim Carrey, Idris Elba, and Keanu Reeves. Talk about a lot of respect for a kid's franchise. And kudos to director Jeff Fowler, who's been shepherding this franchise since the first film. Sonic ain't going nowhere, and you've proven that Disney can bleed. All right, so you know what else is exciting right now? The success of Nosferatu. Oh boy, I love to see a successful movie and new talent emerge, etc. This is very exciting to me. So just a 39% drop in its second weekend. And we have a Robert Eggers film that is actually racing towards 100 million. I repeat, a Robert Eggers movie is probably going to cross the century mark domestic. That's incredible. Look at the other movies he's ever made. It's already got 100 million worldwide, which not including advertising puts the movie at the break-even point right now. But it has to go a little bit further. It cost about 50 million to make this movie, but that doesn't include the extensive advertising campaign. But anyway, this is incredible and shows that Focus Features' willingness to invest in Eggers, and that director Chris Columbus, who produces, along with his business partner, his daughter Eleanor, they're fighting to give Eggers creative control, was faith well placed. A much needed example in the creative space these days after complete creative control to Todd Phillips blew up in Warner Brothers' face. Now, speaking of Warner Brothers in DC, on Friday's live stream, a great idea came to me when I was talking to you. And that's if, for very unfortunate personal reasons, if Matt Reeves is unable to direct the Batman Part 2 in a timely manner, perhaps Reeves could still produce, as he does with the Penguin, and maybe Eggers would be a phenomenal choice to direct a Batman, Robert Pattinson film. What do you think? I think he'd be an excellent match with the material. And I know on Friday when I brought this up, it excited a number of you. Now, that's a big reach. I think Matt Reeves has a lot of ownership over the Batman at this point. I think DC has so few wins. Warner Brothers DC, they're so nervous about upsetting the one that they do have and upsetting the fan base. How would the fan base feel? I'm a major fan of what Matt Reeves has done, but I do worry about the time that it's taking to get to the sequel. But anyway, no matter what Eggers does next, what he does next will be extremely important because, this is his make or break moment. Again, he's at a fork in the road. Does he stay an artiste or does he make it a run, as I said last weekend, at being a Nolan Villeneuve style or level talent? Also, Nicholas Hoult, he's already Lex Luthor, so that's good for him. This is very good coming before Superman. But let's see if Lily Rose Depp can maybe get anything out of this as well. She's already the focus of a lot of fan casting, so that's good for her. But we'll see if Hollywood actually signs her to a hot new gig. Great news for the Depp family. And another interesting question is whether or not this could maybe help potentially get a rehabilitation going for Johnny Depp's image, or maybe if he'll continue to remain distant from his daughter publicity-wise so that he doesn't hamper her potential growth here. You know, it's interesting. One of Ewan McGregor's daughters is in Baby Girl. Both of his daughters are actually actresses. One's a director as well. They've struggled to get their careers going. So has Lily Rose Depp. You know, sometimes being a Nepo baby isn't a ticket to the front of the line, but a hurdle, as people are wary of seeming like they're giving you preferential treatment. So it's not always a benefit. And it's interesting to see these actresses try to establish their own careers and prove themselves as talent. It's been, you know, the McGregor daughters haven't been able to do it just yet, and Lily Rose Depp has really struggled. This is a big breakout for her, and we'll see if she's able to parlay it into something. Meanwhile, Wicked continues to do extremely well, a real marathoner at the box office. In its 7th weekend, despite just hitting digital, where it is number 1, it's still doing fantastic in theaters. In fact, it's actually getting close to 700 million worldwide. With Japan, where they love Wicked, just as they did Frozen. Frozen is very much Wicked coded, intentionally so on Disney's part. But you know, they still have to have that movie hit Japan in March. I mean, it's been so long; it's probably pirated the heck out of that film, but maybe. But without Japan, Universal must have placed it in March for a reason. So let's see if they were right to do that. But close to 700 million still, that's very good. That's excellent. Why wasn't Wicked used by the anti-Disney crowd against Moana 2, which opened, a week after, or The Little Mermaid, which has some similarities, and for a while they were performing on par, although Wicked was able to break out and do better? Well, I think it's because the anti-Disney crowd also has a problem with Wicked because of its feminism, diversity, and LGBT aspects. Wicked really is, in many ways, this year's Barbie. On a smaller scale, for sure, but I do think it's a very much following in those same pink footsteps. But again, on that note, we'll see if tonight Wicked can actually win some major awards. Barbie had tons of nominations as well, but really struggled to actually win anything. I think Ariana Grande is Wicked's best bet for a win tonight. As I said, the Golden Globes doesn't do craft awards, where I think Wicked is very strong. But with the categories in the Golden Globes divided between drama and comedy musical, Wicked has a better chance of picking up some more. I'm very curious to see what happens. As for other awards contenders at the box office, a complete unknown in its second weekend was able to grab some Dolby and IMAX screens. That's weird that it had to wait to expand to premium screens. It's almost like they punished the people who were the most excited to see it. But anyway, that ended up pushing Sonic totally out of Dolby. Sonic lost all of its premium screens because Disney is a more aggressive negotiator, unfortunately, for Sonic. Because Mufasa, Nosferatu, and the 7 IMAX re-release are taking up the rest of the premium screens. They keep dividing up these premium screens. It's crazy. Build more premium screens. They're going to do it, but we'll see how long it's going to take. The film, though, a complete unknown, still fell a bit, but just a bit, and it's at 41 million in just 2 weeks, which makes it the highest grossing film already for Searchlight ever, topping 2022's The Menu. Again, we'll see how this movie also fares tonight at the Golden Globes, as it's up for a number of awards as well. Baby Girl added 49 more screens, but stayed about the same this weekend. It's not making a ton of money, but as I said at the beginning of Movie Math today, Nicole Kidman is the only real frontrunner that we've seen this award season for Best Actress. She just picked up another award. I think it was the Palm Springs or whatever festival over the weekend. She has some momentum. But don't worry, Wicked fans. Baby Girl's a drama. Wicked is a comedy musical. So that shouldn't hurt Wicked this evening. As for The Brutalist, it continues to hover just outside the top 10, with A24 refusing to expand it. Maybe they're waiting for tonight. Maybe they feel audiences will be more interested in a big winner, right? I mean, it does have the most nominations after Emilia Perez. So A24 either has a brilliant release strategy, or they've kept The Brutalist from getting real buzz as the votes have been coming in. We'll see. It's risky, but yet in a very slow January, February, once The Brutalist starts to maybe win a bunch of awards, it could then start to do very well in theaters as a result. So we'll see if that was the right move. Over on streaming, starting with Nielsen for Thanksgiving week, there's nothing too much happening here. This is a pretty boring week. No really big new shows or movies were released for Thanksgiving on any of the streaming services. I mean, Netflix put out that new Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie, and it did pretty good. Elf, also you can see, is the first holiday movie to get into the overall top 10 on Nielsen. And it's nice to see hardworking and respected Coleman Domingo get a commercial hit. Over on the originals chart, Taylor Sheridan continues to do very well for Paramount+. While with movies, there are a lot more Christmas films here. 6 of the top 10, with Peacock's Dear Santa, a new film for Christmas from the Farrelly brothers. You know, I watched that. It was really good for the first, I'd say, 3 quarters. But then the ending I thought was actually in extremely poor taste. So in such poor taste, I'm surprised that it was greenlit. Great acting though, not just from Jack Black, but Robert Timothy Smith is a very good actor. And by the way, he's the one who plays Neil on Skeleton Crew. All right, now on to Netflix, where, this is pretty interesting. For all the online hate that Squid Game Season 2 has been getting on social media, hasn't stopped it from becoming a massive hit for Netflix, which makes me so happy, as this is my favorite show of 2024. It has outpaced Wednesday to become Netflix's new biggest debut ever. 68 million views in the first 4 days versus Wednesday's 50.1 million. We'll see how the show holds up beyond the initial burst, but that's not only great news for season 3, which is really season 2 part 2, which is, we already knew it was coming out in 2025, but it seems to have leaked that it comes out in June 2025. But also, I've been hearing rumors, as I told you, of a Squid Game spinoff after season 3, where the games move to a different country than South Korea, with David Fincher still in the mix to potentially direct that. I think that sounds phenomenal. Clearly, Netflix has not only cemented a hot new IP, Squid Game is here to stay, but a killer 2025 is ahead of them, with Squid Game Season 3, Wednesday Season 2, and it's finally going to be here, Stranger Things Season 5. That is an incredible lineup. My gosh, maybe it almost makes it worth the wait, but that is a real party for Netflix in 2025. With English language shows, Christmas Day football was indeed huge for Netflix, as we discussed on last week's Movie Math. But also, take a look at Nate Bargatze's new comedy special. That's a lot better viewership than almost every other stand-up comedian we've been seeing for the past few months. Many of them much bigger names, it had been supposed, than Nate Bargatze. But Nate Bargatze, he's really blowing up. He had a Christmas special on CBS this year, which, by the way, even though it aired on CBS, was produced by Lorne Michaels. I think Lorne Michaels has clearly taken Nate Bargatze under his wing after 2 amazing SNLs that Bargatze hosted. I also love to see that fireplaces do so well this time of year. I myself am also partial to the birchwood fireplace, and I see many of you are as well. Do you like to stream a fireplace during the holidays? And what's your fireplace of choice? Then with movies on Netflix, Carry On and the 6 888 are still on top, while we see a bunch of Christmas movies here as well. Even, I think, what is this, like the week of Christmas week? But including Netflix's own new Christmas movie, That Christmas. I didn't think it was that great, but I watched it though, to be fair. But again, we've got double Grinch here. Universal, let's get that Jim Carrey sequel going. Also, some Idris Elba love is on display as well, with the 2 bottom movies, his in the top 10. Then on digital with Apple TV. By the way, Apple TV has been free this whole weekend. If you just found out, don't worry, it's through this evening. So be sure to check out their incredible shows and movies. I tweeted out my recommendations, but you can see them here. Did any of you take Apple up on this offer? What did you watch? And did they convince you to maybe subscribe? They're pretty pricey these days, but Severance Season 2 is coming up, right? Or also you can get Apple TV through Prime Video. I'll be curious to see, by the way, if this free weekend is reflected in the Nielsen charts when they catch up in a few weeks. Anyway, in Apple's digital store, Wicked, still number 1 with, what do you know, Gladiator 2 right behind it, with a lot of awards contenders filling up the rest of the top 10. As for this coming weekend, Robbie Williams' bio, A Better Man Goes Wide, The Last Showgirl, finally hits theaters in a meaningful way. It hit a couple of theaters in 2024 just so it could qualify for awards season, but it will have an actual release now. And it's a very good movie. And Gerard Butler tests his luck yet again with Den of Thieves 2. Butler's a pretty lucky guy, and I've enjoyed many of his guilty pleasures, but I think even this might be a step too far. Do you think you'll see Den of Thieves 2? I have a friend who's a huge Gerard Butler fan, and she has expressed no interest in seeing it. Uh-oh! Well, on Digital Tuesday, there's awards contender Flow. At one point, this was considered a shoo-in to probably win, but I think that The Wild Robot has very much changed that conversation. So yeah, it's a little slow in January, but we have some action with shows. Starting tomorrow, Monday, Netflix is the new home for WWE Raw, beginning in the United States, Canada, the UK, and Latin America, before slowly expanding to more countries and regions. That's a pretty big get for Netflix, though. Netflix also has a Jerry Springer behind-the-scenes documentary dropping on Tuesday, while Thursday, there's a lot of action. Thursday, Netflix has Peter Berg's American Primeval, as well as a new season of The Upshaws. The Traitors, now a breakout award-winning hit, returns to Peacock. Prime Video has On Call, while Max has The Pit. And The Pit, while Michael Crichton's estate is suing Warner Brothers because they say this is an unofficial spin-off of ER, and they're not being cut into the profits. So that's very interesting. There's even some more drama for you. Then on Friday, Disney Plus and Hulu have Goosebumps, The Vanishing, and that's right, that is Ross from Friends. And that's this week's Movie Math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? And again, be sure to tune in tonight for the Golden Globes, joining me on Twitter during the show, and then afterwards, come over here to YouTube, where I'll be going live so we can discuss it. Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.